Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode of the Actor, Actress, Director Showcase. Still trying to figure out a new name for the show. We might just keep it. It's at this point.
At this point, just keep it.
Yeah, just screw it. It's the AAD show. that's how I always break it down when I'm doing my editing. But today's episode, we're going to be talking about two performers who have movies coming out this month. And Michael Bay with Ambulance that comes out this Friday, and we got Nicolas Cage coming out with the unbearable weight of massive talent. I keep forgetting the massive part. But both of them have movies coming out this month, and then we don't know when Charlize's new movie comes out because Netflix won't give us a release date for it. What's the new movie called? What's the new movie called?
The School of Good and Evil or something like that.
Yeah, which to me just reminds me of oh god, what is that? What was that Evergreen movie with Peculiar Children?
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
It reminds me of that. I'll put the picture up of the movie right here. We're talking about. We're talking about these three today. Obviously, Charlize Theron, one of the top actresses in Hollywood today. Nicolas Cage is one of the most talked about, memed, made fun of, but also incredibly respected actors in Hollywood. And then you got Michael Bay, which is the ultimate punchline in terms of for directors. But if it's an action sequence, everyone wants a Michael Bay movie. So we're going to be talking about these three. This is definitely going to be a very lively conversation. I think for the most part, you and I are going to have a fun time talking about these three. What do you think?
I think that, yeah, we might have some takes that other people might not agree with, but I think that we are mostly in agreement on these people.
Yeah, there's going to be certain movies that you and I don't agree on, but I think for the most part, we agree on the actors and actress.
Yeah,
about what we like about them. But we're going to start with Michael Bay. Like I said, Michael Bay's new movie Ambulance comes out this weekend, and I am excited. Since the first trailer of this movie, and when the names director Michael Bay popped up, I immediately went, yes. And apparently a ghost knocked all the hats off my little thing over here. So sorry, that was random. But no, when I saw the trailer for Ambulance, I mean, first off, you got Jake Gyllenhaal and you got Yahya Abdul-Mateen, who I'm loving that guy and everything I'm seeing him in. I'm so excited. And then your girl,
Isaac Gonzalez.
Gonzalez is in it. And then I saw directed by Michael Bay, and I'm like, fuck yes. Because you and I are both in an agreement. If Michael Bay is not directing a Transformers movie, he's got about a 75-80% success rate of being an enjoyable film. Would you agree with that comment?
I would agree. And even the ones that I don't love, I think are actually, pretty decent, fun to watch. But yeah, I definitely really enjoy his non-Transformers stuff so much more than Transformers.
Exactly. I mean, and it's weird. I was going through his stuff and I was like, oh, he's got so many movies. He really doesn't. Like,
he does. I think he has like 15 films, something like that.
If you condense the Transformers movies, or you take the Transformers movies out of the equation, he doesn't have that many movies. Now, granted, it's more than last month's director, Edgar Wright, but it's not as much as I thought. It's just he did 5 Transformers movies, and I think after the second one, every time he's like, "I'm not going to come back for another one," and then he came back. I'm not going to come back for another one, and then he came back. But I mean, he started with Bad Boys, which you and I are huge Bad Boys fans.
I love Bad Boys. The first Bad Boys came out, and I watched that movie so many times in theaters.
That was my birthday movie that year. It was always one of those things because my birthday's in May, and so my birthday usually starts the summer movie season, and so it's always a movie that's coming out on my birthday. This year, it's Doctor Strange. And Bad Boys was, I mean, right in the height of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with Will Smith. We are not going to be talking about any Will Smith stuff, so don't even think about it. But Martin Lawrence coming off of Martin, and I was like, oh, they're going to be together. It's a buddy cop film, but R-rated. Mom, Dad, I want to see this movie, even though I was like 10 at the time, and I loved it.
Well, this is. I mean, you saw this movie coming out, and you're like, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. That's going to be this great comedy. It's going to be action comedy, fine. But then what you didn't realize is that it was really action first. It's like, because I mean, that movie was originally going to be, I want to say it was like Dana Carvey and John Lovitz or something, with the first ones attached to it. It was going to be bad.
Yeah,
it was a whole different movie. But
Bad Boys for the wrong reasons.
Right. And I can't imagine Michael Bay was going to direct it at that point, because that would have been, maybe that's why they didn't do it, because it became a different movie. But people always talk about like Independence Day being the movie that made Will Smith a star. I think they overlooked Bad Boys because before this, he was just a musician and a comedian. He'd done like a dramatic role in that 6 Degrees of Separation, things like that. But this is Will Smith's Die Hard. This is what made them go, whoa, this dude can be an action star. And his whole career since then.
I think outside of 6 Degrees of Separation, which we'll talk about Will Smith on his own show, the only thing I ever saw him in, what?
Not anytime soon.
No. But the only other movie I think I ever saw him in was like he had like a small role in like the Ted Danson, Whoopi Goldberg, like Coming to America movie.
Made in America. Yeah.
Made in America. Yeah. He had a small part, which he was basically playing Will Smith in that movie. And then he had this. And yeah, this was the movie that basically said, hey, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence can be action stars, or at least be in action-esque movies. And then, yeah, Independence Day came right after that. And then whoosh, Will Smith was, in the hemisphere from there on.
But then more so, you had Michael Bay, and people took notice. Like, whoa, this is like this brand. This is his movie debut. He'd done what, music videos before this, I think?
Like at least 50 music videos. Like you have to go through like all these music video director cuts before you finally get to Bad Boys.
I mean, you look at music video directors. That's a great place for. I mean, David Fincher came from music videos. Obviously, Michael Bay, and there's been many other directors who have. But yeah, so this is his feature film debut, and it's just like not only is it great comedy, great action, but it also had like a style all its own. It wasn't like any action you'd seen before. The way he filmed stuff, and it just looked phenomenal.
His now infamous 360-degree
camera
shot, which has been spoofed and been embraced, like in Hot Fuzz. They did it as an embracing thing, not as a spoof thing. And then he follows up Bad Boys with The Rock, which I love that movie so damn much. I mean, he literally he was on a tear until Transformers. I mean, you look at this. You got Bad Boys, The Rock, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor. It wasn't that great, but it's not.
He wanted to make his Titanic. It didn't work. Yes. Fine. Move on.
Granted, I went back and rewatched it a couple years back. It's not as bad as we all remember it. It's not good, but
it's not terrible. It's just
there were some choices they made that they could have been better on, but it's definitely nowhere near as bad as it used to be. And then Bad Boys 2, which I am more of a Bad Boys 2 person. You're more of a Bad Boys person. I love the sequel more than the first.
I honestly love. If you ask me on any given day, they could swap places. Really, it's a toss up.
And then one of my personal favorites is The Island. I love The Island so much, and to me, the hottest Scarlett Johansson film ever for me is The Island. And then he did the Transformers movies. Now, he did have some movies in between, like Pain and Gain and the criminally underrated 13 Hours. And then he did the last one he did was Netflix's 600 Grand, which was horrendous.
I don't agree about horrendous, but it's
the editing of the first 10 to 20 minutes of that movie is some of the worst fucking editing I've seen in a movie ever. Now, and him as a director, he had to play that shit back, going, "Hey, you guys realize that oh fuck, is it Franco? Dave Franco's hat keeps disappearing every other scene. Like, come on, it's lazy. It's lazy. And it's a Netflix movie, and I feel like he just was like, it's a Netflix movie.
I will say though, because he was kind of like how James Cameron got derailed by Avatar, did nothing for the past 20 years since then. I kind of feel like Michael Bay was on this tear, like you said. He did Transformers. He did 3 of them in a row.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh man, he did nothing but Transformers. But then he started doing movies in between. Now, Pain and Gain it wasn't a Michael Bay film. It was fine, but it was like not the kind of film I'm looking for from Michael Bay. He did 13 Hours, which is a good movie, but at the same time, it's more of a dramatic thing. It's not one of his usual over-the-top action.
It was one of those.
So when he did 6 Underground, I was just happy that he was getting into just dumb action again. But then that disappointed. But now I have really high hopes then for Ambulance, which is kind of getting back to his roots.
13 Hours is one of those movies that you watch it and it goes, that was a really, really good movie. You're like, yeah, Michael Bay directed that. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, but really? Yeah. Oh, I guess Michael Bay can do good movies. No, he's always done good, enjoyable movies.
There's flashes of his style in there, but he really kind of reined it in. It looked more like a Black Hawk Down, like a really.
It was his version of a Black Hawk Down. Yeah. He had some comedic tones, but he didn't go into his I like to call it adolescent jokes humor that he does in Transformers, and he even does them in the Bad Boys movies and stuff like that, where there's some lines of dialogue you're like, did you really think that was the best choice dialogue you chose to throw in that movie? Like even Armageddon has got some scenes where it's like, even The Rock, every one of his movies has at least a handful of dialogue and it's always a character that is like a like extra that like walks on screen and will say something and then leave, and you're like, that was a choice to throw that like I always say this. It's this is probably one of my favorite extras characters, and it's from The Rock. It's the you're gonna have to help me because I know the what the actually thing is. It's escaping my brain, concussion brain. It's during the one part of The Rock that you could remove, which was the whole chase sequence in San Francisco.
The car chase?
Huh?
The car chase?
Yeah. Is it a trolley that the guy?
Yeah, it's San Francisco trolley. Yeah.
It's the one dude on the trolley who's like, "Good morning, everybody. How's everything doing today?" And then as the trolley goes, "Save yourselves!" And then as soon as it crashes, he's like, "I'm gonna find that guy. I'm gonna hunt his ass down." It's like it's that one character which is like, why is this guy?
It's been a while, so I don't remember that part. I'll have to watch for that.
Oh, it's this one character. He's only in this one scene. He's given 3 separate moments to have scenes. He's never brought up again after that part. But he basically says he's gonna hunt down both Nick Cage and Sean Connery because of what they did during this scene. And it's just random actors or actresses just show up, say some lines that don't mesh with the rest of the film, and then they disappear. And he does it in all the movies. But sometimes it's one of those things where it's like, it's such a Michael Bay thing, like explosions, or it's like, it's got to come along. And 13 hours, he doesn't really have that. Which is why no one thinks that Michael Bay shot 13 hours. Mm-hmm. It's a great fucking film. And it shows you that if Michael Bay can focus and not go off on his Michael Bay-isms, he could have a potential to go up there in the ranks of some of the more prestigious directors. I don't know if we necessarily want him to go that range, but he has the ability if he can focus his stuff. Now, we love his type of humor and certain and his type of action, like with Bad Boys 2 and The Island and even Armageddon. We love that aspect of him, so we don't necessarily want him to leave that. But for some reason with the Transformers movies, it's like, dude, what?
Well, and then there was an interview recently where he said that Steven Spielberg even told him that he shouldn't have done more than 3, and done
more than 1.
Well, and Michael Bay admits, he's like, yeah, I probably made a few too many, but it's like, and he basically said up front, he's like, when they back a truck of money up to you, it's like, what are you gonna say? No, thank you. It's like, so I mean, I get it, but at least he has recognized that, which to me implies that he's not going to make any more. Now he might still like produce them, which is fine because like Bumblebee, I love Bumblebee.
Bumblebee is great.
If they do more movies kind of along that vein, there's like the next one, the Rise of the Beast or whatever, got delayed by a year, so we'll have to see what that's going to turn into. But if he's not going to direct them anymore, that just means that he's available to direct more things like Ambulance.
Yeah, like I don't have a problem with him helping out with a Transformers film, so he can kind of keep things not in the same world, but just kind of like, oh, I've directed like 5 of these, like, you might want to do things like he did with Bumblebee, but Bumblebee still felt like its own thing. Yeah. Like the first 10 minutes of Bumblebee is the best of any Transformers movie that's ever been made, and it's not Michael Bay's movies.
The first 10 minutes of Bumblebee is what I wanted the first Transformers movie to be. Yeah, absolutely. I came out of the first Transformers movie hugely disappointed. I was like, this is not what I wanted. It's all way more about humans. The look of them was all way too, different than what I wanted them to look like. Yeah. But when the first 10 minutes of Bumblebee, I'm like, that's what the original first Transformers should have been. Now, Transformers, the first one, I've gone back and, after that first viewing, when I knew what to expect, I did enjoy it more on subsequent viewings. But it's still like, I want them to make a movie just like Bumblebee's first.
Yeah, so like for me, like the first Transformers, and I'm a huge Transformers fan. Like I have the original cartoon series, the whole series on DVD. I have Beast Wars, all that kind of stuff. So when the Transformers movie was coming out, I was ecstatic. And the first movie I watched, I was like, it was good. It was fine. For a first attempt, it was good. Mm-hmm. And then Revenge of the Fallen came out, and I was like, what the fuck is this garbage? And I was like, oh, it was great. I'm like, were you watching the same movie? This movie is horrible.
2 and 3, I didn't hate. I'll be honest with you.
I didn't hate 3. 3 was Dark of the Moon. I would say Dark Side of the Moon. It's Dark of the Moon. There's some stupid Michael Bay moments in that movie, but for the most part, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah, but 4 and especially 5 are just unwatchable.
4, yeah. Once Mark Wahlberg joined, it's Transformer. Yeah, no, it's that movie. No, it's 4 and 5. Just pretend they never exist. And I think Michael Bay even said he pretends that he never made those movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think 1 and 3 are fine. 2 to me is borderline Razzie. Like you intentionally made you wanted to kill this franchise, didn't you? Because it is that bad. When you literally go, I'm under the robot scrotum. No. But let's talk about the other ones. I mean, like I said, the Bad Boys. I think that was one thing you and I were bummed he didn't come back for the third one. I think he produced it, didn't he?
We were, but then the guys, I don't remember their names offhand. The two guys who like replaced him, they did a great job of emulating his style, though. I mean, it still made it their own, but it felt like the same world.
It's my least favorite of the three.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, it definitely wasn't a bad movie. It was one of those like it's good. It's not as good as the first two, but I mean, I wasn't disappointed.
But I don't think it was because of the directors either. It was a little bit in the script. A lot of it was just in watching Martin Lawrence and feeling kind of sad for him. But
yeah, nothing about it was Will. Will was fine, but yeah, it was a script issue, and it was Martin Lawrence really just wasn't. He's not built for those.
He didn't seem like he was there.
Yeah, he felt like he was kind of just going through the motions, and I mean Armageddon. I mean, a lot of people kind of, I guess, have started to turn on the movie now, and it's like, don't act like y'all didn't love the shit out of Armageddon when that.
Well, Armageddon, since it came out, I have heard opinions that love it, thinks it's like the pinnacle of filmmaking, to thinking it's the worst movie ever made, and I get both views on it because Armageddon is like the pinnacle of Michael Bay and his excess in his style, whether it be the comedy or the action or whatever. It's the most Michael Bay movie that could exist.
See,
but I enjoy the hell out of it.
I love Armageddon. I think Armageddon is great. To me, and I think I said this with who was it? I can't remember. We were talking about an actor, and I was like, this was the first movie where he went full, whatever. I can't remember what movie it was. I really can't. I can't remember what actor we were talking about. To me, Bad Boys 2 is the movie where Michael Bay went full Michael Bay. But we love that though. Because you had Martin Lawrence, Will Smith, Joey Pants, all of them. They knew the movie they were in. They embraced Michael Bay in this movie. And is Bad Boys 2 a little long? Absolutely. And could it have been one car chase scene short? Sure. But if you embrace the Michael Bay of it all, Bad Boys 2 is fucking amazing. I love Bad Boys 2 so much.
And I agree with you that The Island is the most underrated of his movies.
No one talks about The Island. No one. I love The Island so much. No one talks about it. Ewan McGregor kills it. Sean Bean is great. Scarlett Johansson is fantastic. Ewan McGregor pulls double duty in the movie. I loved the story aspect of it. How the first act of the film, and you kind of now, granted, the trailers kind of ruined it because trailers love to spoil shit. I think The Island probably would have done better if people didn't know what they were going into before the movie happened. But The Island is one of those movies where it came out and I was like, guys, The Island's great. And like, I don't know what that movie is. I was like, you guys gotta check it out. The Island's so good. And yeah, it just kind of disappeared and no one talked about it because Transformers was coming out. And The Island is one of those movies where it's like, it's got its Michael Bay stuff, but it's so much fun. Hansu, say his first name because I always say it wrong. Jamin Hansu. He's great in it as kind of like I kind of chalk him up to like almost like the Chiwetel Ejiofor character from Firefly. He's just like guy who just comes in and wrecks shit.
Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan, Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi. Yeah, all of them are so good in this movie. And Pain and Gain, you got Anthony Mackie before he was huge, and you got The Rock in it, and Wahlberg, and
Tony Shalhoub.
And Tony Shalhoub, Rebel Wilson, but I think that movie is also another
movie was in that.
Yeah. That's another movie that I feel like a lot of people were at that point so hated on the Transformers train that when he came out with that movie, no one was like, we'll watch it because The Rock's in it, but we're actively not going to try to like this. And a lot of people were like, you know what? Pain and Gain is actually a pretty good movie. I haven't watched it in the longest time, to the point where it's like, I remember parts, but I don't remember a lot of the film. So that's probably one I should probably go back and rewatch. But you and I went back and rewatched 13 Hours last year for the Weekend Crusaders.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great film. It's a great film. And you gotta kind of look at this one. It's like, guys, if you just remove the Transformers films, Michael Bay's a really good director. You guys just gotta like yes, Pearl Harbor, like I said, it's not good. It's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. And 600.
He's a really good action popcorn blockbuster director, and even in some of his smaller opinion, I mean, the guy's never going to win Best Director for an Oscar.
No.
He's not going to, he's not going to make these deep
dramas. He'll win Best Director at the MTV Movie Awards.
But for what he's trying to make and the lane that he knows that he stays in, he's great.
Exactly. It's almost shocking that he's never made a Fast and Furious film. Because that's his lane. That's
he kind of already did with Bad Boys too.
I mean, Bad Boys and Transformers is basically effectively Fast and Furious. But yeah, so I mean, you're talking to two guys that actively don't hate Michael Bay. We just hate Transformers. And we will defend Michael Bay. And that's why you and I are so excited for Ambulance. I cannot wait till Thursday to, granted, this will be released on Friday. So we've already, at this point, for you guys who are watching this, we've already seen Ambulance. And we probably have. What's that?
What'd you think of it, Sean?
I'm pretty sure I liked it. There's probably some things that he probably did that I probably thought wouldn't have fit in the movie. But overall, with the cast, I probably enjoyed the movie. I hope that is correct. We'll find out.
I also got to look at Isaac Gonzalez for 2 hours.
Exactly. And she's sweaty through it the whole way because she's stuck in a hot ambulance the whole way in Los Angeles. Exactly. You're already given like 4 stars right there.
I'll be in my bunk.
Yeah. But for anyone who only knows Michael Bay from the Transformers movies and has not given Michael Bay a real look, what were the 3 movies that you would recommend someone to watch for Michael Bay if you really wanted them to see the good in Michael Bay?
Okay. This is actually kind of difficult. Like I say, he's only got 15 films and 5 of them are Transformers, and none of those will be my picks. I'll tell you that right now.
I was going to say, if you pick one of the Transformers movies, I'm kicking you off the show.
I'd say Bad Boys 2, because I love both Bad Boys, but I think Bad Boys 2, like you said, is kind of when he became more Michael Bay. Armageddon, like I said, because it's kind of along the same lines as Bad Boys, but it just kind of shows what he does on like a bigger scale. He does this big action. It's definitely got a broader scale than Bad Boys 2 does, but it still has all the comedy, all the excess, everything you expect from Michael Bay movie. And then I would throw in 13 Hours, because that's the one that shows that while he can still do great action sequences, he can do them on a more grounded, serious level, and he can make a movie that's not just silly.
See, I had a hard time with mine too, because I wanted to pick Armageddon and I wanted to pick The Island. But it's one of those things where it's like, there's, to me, and it's going to be like this with Nick Cage, there are 6 Michael Bay movies that I outright love. And to pick just 3 is really, really hard for me. Bad Boys 2, 100%. Absolutely. It's my favorite Michael Bay movie. And that's 100% going to be my first pick, because it is, like I said, the most Michael Bay of Michael Bay movies. Will Smith's great in it. Martin Lawrence is great. Gabrielle Union, the cast knows the movie they're in. It's fun. It's action-packed. You're going to have fun. If you can just let yourself go and enjoy the Michael Bay-isms, Bad Boys 2 is definitely one of his best films. Obviously, for me, I'm going to go The Rock. My namesake, Sean Connery, is great in the film. You got Nick Cage, who we're literally going to be talking about here in a little bit, is great in the movie. Ed Harris, one of the best villain roles out there. There's so many great lines in that movie, which, like I said, we'll talk about The Rock here in a little bit when we talk about Nick Cage. So definitely The Rock. And then, like I said, I would love to pick Armageddon and The Island, but I also have to go 13 Hours to show that, like you said, he can do a more serious, grounded film. John Krasinski, everyone loves John Krasinski. That was the first movie where I realized.
That's the first one where he kind of showed he was not just comedy.
Yeah, he can be more than just Jim from The Office. He could be a badass. And now he's Jack Ryan. And that was one of the movies where I was like, holy crap, Krasinski got shredded for the role, and he's believable as an action star. Michael Bay that's the thing. Michael Bay has done a phenomenal job of taking actors that you don't expect to be action stars and make them action stars. Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, John Krasinski, Shia LaBeouf.
I would even say Nick Cage.
Nick Cage, Josh Hartnett. I think Ben Affleck was already out there before Pearl Harbor, but I mean, or if you want to throw Ben or Armageddon for that. I mean, Ewan McGregor already did Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I think Ewan McGregor got a little more of a boost for The Island. But yeah, definitely 13 Hours. See something a little more realistic, a little more grounded, and to show that he can do more than kind of just the humor and blow stuff up, even though that movie is about blowing stuff up, but it's more realistic blowing up than the we're gonna blow up like all of LA kind of thing. So we got two out of the three we agreed on. But yeah, guys, definitely go check out some Michael Bay movies. You just ignore the Transformers movies and embrace the Michael Bay, and definitely go check out Ambulance coming out this week. We hope it's as good as we're pumping it up to be, because we are so excited to see this movie. Next, we're gonna go to Charlize Theron. Charlize is, like I said, she's probably one of the most respected actresses in Hollywood today. Like I said, she's got a movie coming out here that's coming out on Netflix. We don't know when it's going to get released. But why don't you start off with Charlize? What are your thoughts on Charlize? When was the first time you saw her? First time you took notice of her?
So Charlize Theron, I actually first saw her in one of her first movies. I think it was her second movie. Well, the first one that went to theaters, called 2 Days in the Valley. But there was this whole early part of her career, like I think that came out like 95, I want to say, 97, 96. From like 96 until I want to say like 98 or so, the first couple of years, she was basically taking the eye candy roles. She was just there to be the hot, sexy woman, or in the case of That Thing You Do, she was one of the bandmates' girlfriends, things like that. Small roles.
I honestly don't remember in that movie.
Yeah.
I don't. I looked over and I was like, she was in That Thing You Do?
Yeah, and the first time I think I remember seeing her and going, oh, that's Charlize Theron. Devil's Advocate. She played Keanu Reeves' wife.
Yep.
And so I saw her in that role. Again, she didn't really have a whole lot to do in that movie. She was just kind of the attractive wife character on that. But then it was Mighty Joe Young, I should say, was the first movie I saw where she was like the lead, or the co-lead, her and Bill Paxton. Yeah, Bill Paxton were the co-leads in this movie. And it's like it's a Disney kind of family adventure with basically a giant gorilla. But it was a lot of fun. It was a cute movie. I thought she did a good job. And from that point on, she started taking more roles in leads, or at least bigger parts that weren't just the eye candy kind of thing. I want to say from there, I think the first one that really got my attention from her was The Italian Job. The Italian Job was kind of one of those movies that, not quite to the extent of like The Bad Boys of Will Smith, but I watched that movie and I'm like, not only is she attractive and not only can she do dramas, which she's done, but she could be funny. She was able to handle like some minor action scenes. Most of it was driving stuff, but she was able to handle some action scenes. And then from then on, of course, then she got into the action phase of her career, where she had, some stinkers like Aeon Flux in that, but then she had Hancock, she had Prometheus, I think she was in. And then, of course, you get to Mad Max. Mad Max, the whole like latest part of her career, where she's doing like Mad Max and Atomic Blonde and Fast and the Fate of the Furious and these kind of movies. This is my favorite Charlize Theron. I mean, she is a great actress, but she also just kicks ass. She definitely has just a commanding presence on the screen. I mean, whether she's playing a villain, whether she's playing a hero, whether she's playing dramatic and crying, whether she's playing evil, whether she's playing something comedic, I just really enjoy watching her. She seems to me to be like the full package. I mean, she's attractive, she's talented, and she's just fun to watch.
Yeah, a lot of what you said, I'm basically going to kind of repeat. For me, I mean, yeah, that I noticed her as the attractive blonde in Devil's Advocate, Mighty Joe Young, The Astronaut's Wife, Reindeer Games, Legend of Bagger Vance. But it wasn't. It was like, oh yeah, I recognize her. She's Charlize Theron. But it was none of those movies that made me go, wow, I need to pay attention to this woman. It was like, yeah, she's a very attractive woman. I like seeing her in movies, but she's not like wowing me in anything. But she's definitely someone I'm paying attention to. But it's not someone's like, yeah, Charlize Theron's got a movie coming out. Just like, oh yeah, cool, she's in that movie. But yeah, it was The Italian Job. When she popped up in The Italian Job, I finally was like, oh crap, she's actually really good. She's funny, obviously sexy. I mean, we clearly saw that in the movies prior to that. And she could hold her own against Edward Norton, Mark Wahlberg, Jason Statham, Seth Green, all of them. And I love, and it's in terms of the moment for me, it was that moment in the restaurant where she's up against Edward Norton.
Yeah.
That is her, to me, that is her moment. That is her scene where she's basically going, hey, Hollywood, I'm more than just a pretty face. And she punches him, and and says, it's more about the money. Edward Norton and her just going toe to toe the whole way through. And I loved her from then on. And that was the moment where I was like, I need to pay attention to anything she does after that. For me, after that, it went to basically not her looks when she went into her role for Monster, which won her the Oscar.
Which was the same year as Italian Job, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And so you go from the Italian Job where she's, gorgeous, and then she goes to that. and I honestly had no real interest in seeing Monster because it, Oscar baity movie, but it was when I worked at the movie theater. And so more times than not, when I was ushering, I had to go in there and it would always be on. So it's one of those movies where I was like, I never watched it from beginning to end. I always caught it in parts.
Mm-hmm.
So I always would catch her and Christina Ricci in certain moments, and I would watch, certain moments where she would, murder people and kind of go from there kind of thing. But it was just like, you know what, when you actually, and there's one of those movies where, and I think this is why she did it as well, is like for most of her career before that, she's a pretty blonde. And Italian Job definitely helped her kind of break off from her. And she's more than just that. But with Monster, she's like, I'm going to take away the one thing you guys all know me for, which is my good looks, and show you that I am this phenomenal actress. And I'm going to show you guys that I'm more than just a pretty face. And she did that in Monster, and she won the freaking Oscar for it. And that was one of those things, too, where you watch and it's like, I mean, she's definitely not appealing right now because of all the makeup she's wearing, but she's really, really, really good in this role. Like, she's doing great, and obviously so she won the award. So it was, that was the year of Charlize. She had everyone for the action stuff with Italian Job, and then Monster won her the Oscar. And then, like you said, she went to Aeon Flux, which is not good. I loved her in Hancock with Will Smith. I wish she was in it a little more than what we got, but what we did get of her in Hancock, I thought was really good. Prometheus is not a good movie, but she was not bad in the movie. She has her indie movies like Young Adult and Tully, where it's kind of like serious dramedies kind of stuff. And then, she's got her bad movies like Snow White and the Huntsman, which, once again, not her fault.
I don't hate those movies, just saying.
And A Million Ways to Die in the West, which she's the best part in A Million Ways to Die in the West. She is, like, gorgeous. She makes me almost forget that the movie's a shitty film. And you love that movie, though. But
I do love that movie, although I will say she distracts me through that entire movie because she's clearly wearing a wig because she had been finished filming Mad Max.
Doesn't matter. She distracts me enough to make me feel like maybe this movie's not so bad because I'm just watching her and it's like, no, this movie is really bad. But Charlize
the movie's hilarious. Don't listen to him.
Charlize is really good at distracting me. And then Mad Max, Fury Road, which everyone went into that movie going, oh, Tom Hardy's Mad Max. It's gonna be awesome. No. Tom Hardy.
This was her movie.
This is a Furiosa movie. Charlize Theron is the lead. Mad Max is the co-star, and she just came in and destroyed this film in the best way possible. Once again, just like with Monster, I'm gonna take the one thing that everyone knows me for is this beautiful blonde. I'm gonna shave my head. I'm gonna have like this mechanical thing for an arm. I'm gonna look dirty and not attractive at all. She's still.
I'll disagree with you there. She still looked gorgeous. Anyway.
I was like, she still looked good. And he's like, you're gonna pay attention to my performance, and you're gonna pay attention to the pain and the stuff that Furiosa had to go through. And she killed that role. It is an iconic role. There's roles like Bruce Willis and Die Hard, which we talked about last week. There are roles where you're going to remember this person as always this character, and that's Charlize's character is Furiosa, and we're gonna get a prequel series or a prequel movie with Furiosa, which isn't it Anya Taylor-Joy?
Which I like Anya. I'm sure she'll be fine, but I really would have rather seen more Charlize as Furiosa.
Exactly. I want more of her. I don't want to see someone trying to be Charlize Theron as Furiosa. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Like I said, Anya Taylor-Joy is a phenomenal actress. I'm sure she'll do good. And then, of course, Atomic Blonde, which I actually have never seen, but Brian talks that movie up like it's really, really good. I have to check that out at some point.
Just picture, in short, Wick, just say Charlize Theron as John Wick.
Yeah, which I'm all for that. And you said Sophia
Boutella
and James McAvoy are in it. So those are all people I like. So for some reason, it was one of those things where I just never got around to it, which is very weird of me not to get around to watching a movie like that. But exactly. But and then she also did Kubo and the Two Strings. I am not a fan of stop motion animation at all, but I really enjoy that film. She's great in that. Fate of the Furious. She's fine in those movies. It's the script. It's not Charlize.
Well, she's fine in that movie.
Yeah,
but that was the only one she did, as far as I'm
F9,
concerned.
F9, she's just there to be there. But
F9 doesn't exist.
But then one of the things that we talk about a lot, and we talked about in our February show, is kind of the death of rom-coms and how we never see rom-coms anymore, and we never really get them. And we do, they're like weird random ones on Netflix that pop up. But we got one with Long Shot. And that was one of the most surprising films of the year when it came out. I was like, holy crap, this is actually really good. And she kills it as she's the president in the movie, right? Yeah, she's the president. She's not trying to become president. She is president, correct?
No, she's not president. She's Secretary of State. I think she's going to run for president.
Yeah, she's going to run for president. I can't remember if she was running or she already was. And that movie is charming up the ass. And she kills it. And she made it believable that she would be into Seth Rogen, which, come on. But still, she was great in that. And then, she got nominated again for Bombshell, which granted, I didn't see Bombshell. And then once again, she goes back and says, hey, I can still do the action stuff with the old guard, which you and I
really good. Yeah.
You and I liked it. I wasn't crazy about the story, but once again, Charlize Theron was great in it. There's never anything that she is in that are bad movies, and it's blamed on her. Addams Family is dog shit. It's not Charlize's fault.
Gringo was not a good movie, but it was not her fault.
Yeah, Charlize is never the worst performer of anything. There's never a movie where we're going, she was really bad in that movie. Charlize is great. And she's one of the most prestigious and most, I think, respected actresses out there, because she will go out there and she will, kind of like Christian Bale and Daniel Day-Lewis, she will morph her body to fill the role, whether it's shaving her head or putting on a bunch of makeup and gaining a bunch of weight for Monster or all this kind of stuff. She's going to do what she can to make sure that character comes alive and you remember her performances. And like I said, Mad Max Fury Road is the staple point. There are actresses out there that are going out there and trying to do roles like that because they are trying to excel and do what Charlize did with that role. None of them are really pulling it off because Charlize was that damn good in that performance. So for you, what would be, I think we pretty much covered everything for Charlize. What would be your 3 films?
Well, the obvious one is Mad Max.
Well, yeah, we both, yeah.
But like you said, it's just an iconic role. She is the best thing about that movie. In a movie that's full of great things, she is the best thing about that movie. So you gotta go Mad Max. My second one, I would actually probably say Atomic Blonde. Because again, whereas Mad Max, obviously was an action role. This is kind of a different kind of action, a lot of hand-to-hand combat. It kind of showed that she can carry. In this one, she definitely is the star of the film and hopefully franchise. We'll see if they make more or not. I'd love to see that. And she just, again, has a very commanding performance in this one. And this one has a little bit, there are definitely moments of levity and comedy to it. It's primarily an action movie, of course, but I like that. The third one, I had a lot of difficulty figuring out which one to pick. And I ended up going with Young Adult. Young Adult is a movie that was written by Diablo Cody, who is best known for doing writing Juno, directed by Jason Reitman, who we all know. And it's very much a dramedy. It's definitely got it's kind of in the vein of Juno, where it's got dramatic themes to it and dramatic plot, but there's a whole lot of comedy to it, just in the writing and the dialogue and things like that. And I think she handles all that so well. I will say I almost went with Tully because it shows her a little bit more of a dramatic performance. But the movie as a whole for that one didn't do it for me. And even Young Adult, not the whole movie works, but I thought she was phenomenal. And I think she got nominated for an Oscar for that too.
I think so, yeah. If not, definitely Golden Globe. I think it might be one of those where she was Golden Globe, but she didn't get the Oscar nom, or she did get the Oscar nom. I can't really remember. Yeah, for me, obviously, Mad Max Fury Road. There's no one out there that's going to come up with a best of list for Charlize, and Mad Max is not 1 or 2 on that list. Even the people who think Mad Max Fury Road's overrated is still going to say, well, Charlize is phenomenal in that film. For me, number 2 definitely is going to be Monster, because she literally won the Oscar for it. And it shows, just like with Mad Max, her range as an actress. She takes the one thing that is the essence of Charlize, at least in her younger career, and took it away and showed a phenomenal performance overall. Plus it was a good supporting role for Christina Ricci as well, who I also think is an actress that I actually rather enjoy. And my third movie is going to be the movie that I first really took actual notice of her, and that's Italian Job. Granted, it is an ensemble cast, but for me, it's one of those movies where she does show off her good looks in it. She's funny. It starts to show her breaking into the action, and it's just a fun movie. It's a great cast. It's a fun movie. It's a movie to enjoy, and she really is kind of the only female role in the film, so she also stands out that way as well. And it's one of those movies where she shows that she can stay with the boys. And then she goes on to do, Monster and Mad Max Fury Road, where she does have more females in that movie. But those are the ones I'd go with. Now, granted, had I seen Atomic Blonde, maybe I probably would have put Atomic Blonde on the list, but I haven't seen it yet. I always love that every time we do this particular show, I end up always having homework at the end. Where it's like, Sean, you watch that. It's like, fine. And Atomic Blonde is probably going to be that movie. But yeah, those will definitely be my three. I'm excited for anything she has coming out. Like I said, she's got a movie coming out later this year. I'm not excited for you, but that's also because we haven't gotten really a trailer for it. But I guarantee you, once we get a trailer,
I've seen like those bits and clips in the Netflix sizzle reel, but we haven't seen an actual full trailer for it.
Once we get an actual trailer, I'll be like, all right, I'm ready to go.
Other than that, I honestly don't think she has a lot of stuff that's like in various stages of pre-production.
Yeah,
rumored Old Guard 2 and Atomic Blonde 2 and things like that. But she doesn't have any other movies going, as far as I can tell.
She's probably just taking a little bit of a break, which I mean they're allowed to do. I think
no, they aren't. I want my movies. I want them now.
Well, I mean, pandemic wise, outside of Old Guard and I think voicing Adam's Family, she hasn't really done a whole lot lately. I mean, it doesn't. We're not counting F9. She literally just like, you're gonna stand in this glass box and you're just gonna be quippy for 5 minutes of this movie. But yeah, we'll be excited for anything she has coming out here in the near future. And finally, we're gonna end things with Nick Cage because it's Nick Cage. Nick Cage is
one of the reasons we did this show.
Exactly, he is. He really is. I can't remember if was it when we were talking about National Treasure on Movie Crusaders, and we just kept talking about Nick Cage as an actor. And then I think after the show, you and I are like, we really should just like have a dedicated show where we talk about actors and actresses and stuff. So we're not taking all the time just talking about their careers.
Yeah.
So yeah, he definitely was a staple, which I'm surprised that we waited till episode 3 to actually talk about him. But he definitely was one of the.
I think we waited because of his new movie coming out.
Yeah, I think that's what we did. Nick Cage, like I said, what is there to say? I mean, the dude is insane, but also kind of in the best way. I mean, he started off with, young with movies. He kind of did his thing where I always said this, like he kind of like Michael Keaton in his younger days. He's in a movie. He's not the focal point, but he's going to have this one moment where he's going to stand out. He's going to do something. And you're going to remember that scene. You're going to remember that moment. And then progressively in more movies, he's going to get more and more of these moments, more and more of these scenes. And then he's going to get it finally a lead role, which he does. And he kind of went down the rom-com role until he finally started to do some serious stuff. And then he became the action star because of, once again, Michael Bay made him into an action star. And then he goes out and does some kind of weird movies that were like, what are you doing? And then he does he goes down to Disney Road, does the Disney films. And then he starts to do the comic book movies. And then he starts to do the VOD stuff because he ran into money problems. And he was making basically any kind of movie he can to catch back up. And then he kind of went down a trajectory. We're like, well, I guess Nick Cage's career is kind of over because he doesn't make anything good anymore. And then he comes back with, to me, a career resurgence with Kick-Ass. And made you go, holy crap, is Nick Cage back? I'm so happy because I can enjoy Nick Cage again. And then he'll still go out and do the weird movies that you're like, what the fuck is this? But then that's how you get movies like Mandy and movies like Pig, which he should have been nominated for Pig. Nick Cage, he's all over the map, but in the best way possible. You never know what you're going to get with Nicolas Cage. What are your thoughts with Nick Cage?
Yeah, so Nick Cage is one of those actors who you just kind of feel like has always been around. But I mean, he wasn't always, the Nick Cage that we know. When you think of Nick Cage, you have a certain image of Nick Cage. But I mean, like when he first started out, I mean, he was doing bit parts, he was doing some rom-coms, and even the movies he had leads in, like I was aware they existed, but I didn't see, like at least at the time, like Wild at Heart and Vampire's Kiss and a lot of these movies where he was like playing the lead in them. Um, I want to say like or somewhere around like It Could Happen to You, somewhere around that was the first time when I kind of really started watching Nick Cage. But then yeah, it was The Rock that kind of made him from just an actor who appears in some movies into, hey, here's this headlining star, and not even just in action movies. I think that kind of opened the door for him to do, whether it be romances like City of Angels and things, or one of my favorite underrated movies of his is Snake Eyes. I love Snake Eyes, and that's kind of him being Nick Cage we know. But I mean, you kind of covered his whole career. But yeah, there's some point I
There's a
can't even
lot of
I
now.
can't even pinpoint where it is where he became like the Nick Cage that we know. I want to say it kind of started around The Rock and Con Air,
I would
but
say it
then
was more Wicker Man.
somewhere along the line, well, Wicker Man is kind of that's when he kind of became parody of himself,
Yeah.
and then from that point on, it was kind of he's still that's the thing is he's a very versatile actor in that he will do the Nick Cage, the wild Nick Cage you want to see, and then he'll do the subtle, roles like Pig. Even going back to like Leaving Las Vegas, he was doing stuff like that. He does the dramatic roles, and he can do just like straight dramas and comedies too. So he's kind of one of those actors who I think people don't give him enough credit for his range,
Mm.
and a lot of that I think is due to since 2010. Yeah, starting like 2011 to present, he did like 25 movies in like those 10 years, because he's having money problems because he was like going bankrupt, and he hadn't paid IRS tax. I think was part of it, and part of it was just his managers stole his money, and part of it was just he spent too much money. But whatever it was, he was just essentially taking any job he could get. And he's actually said in an interview recently, he's like, people talk like I just didn't care anymore and I just pumped out these movies for money. He's like, yes, I was taking pretty much any job I could for money, but I never didn't give 100%. I never didn't care. He was talking in this interview going, I always, even if it didn't turn out to be a good movie, which wasn't a great script, I always gave it my best. I got to respect him for that. And I think in the few of them that I've seen, I can agree with that.
You're always, because of that, he's so eccentric that even when you have these weird VOD movies, we were talking about that with Bruce Willis, last month, which granted now we know some new things, which we kind of actually talked about.
We said we had already heard rumors about that.
Yeah, and then it ended up coming out. It was like, wow, we kind of
confirmed
really, really early about that. But like with his movies, we figured out they were VOD. We're like, we're not going to watch those. Even with Nick Cage, you're watching something. You see a trailer like was it a Primeval or something like that with the animal boat movie.
Primal's one, yeah.
Yeah, Primeval. We were like, I know it's a VOD movie, but I actually kind of want to see this movie.
It still makes you want to check them out because for every 5 bad ones he puts out, there's like one in there that's worth watching. And so like I watched Prisoners of the Ghostland thinking it'd be awesome. It wasn't awesome, but it was still watchable.
And like
you watched Willy's Wonderland. It turned out to not be worthwhile.
It ended up being dog shit, but it was dog shit because you did the one thing you wouldn't let Nick Cage talk. That was
all those gems. There's like the Mandy's. There are the Mandy's. There's the Colorado Space. There's one I saw with him and Elijah Wood called Trust, which is actually a pretty decent movie. I enjoyed that one.
There was Mom and Dad that came out.
Mom and Dad was another one, which granted, if it had been theatrical release, you'd been like, this isn't that great. But for a VOD movie, it was actually not bad.
And I think what you were talking about when he there was a time where he just kind of went a route. It was, I think Snake Eyes started it. And it was like Snake Eyes, 8mm, and Bringing Out the Dead. It's like he did those 3. And it's like, okay, what's Nick Cage doing? And then, he went kind of back with, Gone in 60 Seconds. And he was like, oh, okay, he's back now. And then he's, kind of you never know what Nick Cage you're going to get. You never know if you're going to get something like Vampire's Kiss, where he's just like, 1, 2, 3. Or you're going to get more of a serious role, or something like Kick-Ass, where it's like, he's playing it serious, but he's fucking hilarious in this movie. Like literally the first scene of Kick-Ass with him is him talking like he's got the like Ned Flanders mustache, baby doll, and then he's just it's just like what? It's like that is the moment of Kick-Ass where we all just went, I'm in. I'm invested now. Like, okay, like Nick Cage just shot, Chloe Grace. We didn't know who Chloe Grace Moretz was at the time. It's like he just shot a little girl, and like, okay, let's go get ice cream after one more. It's like, what is this? I love this. And he's always one of these characters that you go in, you're like, I'm hesitant, but it's like, why? It's Nick Cage. The movie could be bad. He could be bad in it, but he's always gonna be memorable.
It's always worth watching, even if it's a bad movie. And I make no mistake, he's made his share, but he's made a few people's share of bad movies. But he's always interesting.
Yeah, and one of my favorites is one that you actively hate, which is Face Off. And for me, he'll always be, I want to take his face.
That was the moment where he went over the top caricature parody.
No, he went over the top way before that. When he was it's like in the first 15 minutes where he's dressed as like the priest or reverend, and he walks in, he starts doing the head roll thing, and he just starts dancing up on the girl. It's like Nick Cage is going for it in this movie, and he's just going all out. Because like for you or for me, it was kind of the same way. Like when I was younger, I first noticed him in like Honeymoon in Vegas, and It Could Happen to You. I never saw Leaving Las Vegas, especially when I was younger, because it was a serious movie, and I'm
not sure if I've ever watched that movie, which is a surprise because I was in love with Elizabeth Shue at the time. So.
Yeah. Didn't he win an Oscar for that movie?
Did he? He might have. He was at least nominated.
I think he won it for Leaving Las Vegas.
I want to say he might have.
But I knew him as, he's that rom-com guy. But then The Rock happened, and that was like, oh wow, this guy's fun. He's hilarious, and like him and Sean Connery worked together so well. And like to me, one of the most iconic moments of that movie for me is I'll try my best. Try your best. Losers always whine about trying their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. He's like, Carla was a prom queen. Yeah. And then the Rocket Man. Like, there's so many great quotes from that movie. I said, Michael Bay's so good at doing that stuff. And he made, to me, Nick Cage jump that echelon. And then Con Air right after that. Like, he had this, like, and then, Face Off right after that. He had these 3 movies in a row. I always say that, and this is going to be kind of a giveaway for my picks. There's to me, it's like there's the 4 Cages. You got The Rock, Con Air, Face Off, and Gone in 60 Seconds. And all 4 of those to me are like the best Nick Cage. Like, I love Nick Cage in all those movies. Whenever I hear, of course, now I say, I can't remember what it is. Was it Lowrider in Gone in 60 Seconds?
His name?
Right? No, not his name. Like, before they go, he's like, play. I want to say it's Lowrider or something like that.
Slow Rider? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
They're all listening to it. They're getting psyched up for the night. And he's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, there are more Nicolas Cage like gifs and memes out there.
Yeah. I mean, you have the Bings. Like, there's just they're all out there. Like, Nick Cage is probably the most memeable like actor ever.
Yeah,
and he embraces it, and he actually will go out of his way to do something for you. And that's what I love about too is that, like you're talking about with him and his money problems, the unbearable weight of massive talent. That's the main plot of the movie. Is he's trying to, get to the next big thing so he can, I'm back. And then he, takes this weird job. I think what was it, like $2 million in the movie or whatever. And that's the story. He's basically kind of like we said with Channing Tatum. We love Channing Tatum when he makes fun of himself because he's not taking himself seriously and he's having fun. And with Nick Cage, that's what it looks like he's doing in this movie that's coming out is he's in on the joke. He's realized, look, I did do these things. I needed the money. I did these things, but I always give 100%. And this movie is also like that. He's playing into the real life character because he's playing himself in the movie, or at least a overzealous Nick Cage in this movie. It looks like he's playing multiple roles too in the movie, at least from the trailer. It looks like he's playing multiple roles.
Yeah, that's it. This newest trailer kind of gave that away, which I didn't know before that. So I'm kind of curious.
Like I saw that one part where he was playing an Italian guy.
He was de-aged or something. Yeah.
I was like, maybe he's in a disguise. And then I seen him in other Fast. I'm like, there's multiple Nick Cages in this movie. I was like, we'll see what happens there.
Curious where it's going with that. Yeah,
exactly. And I've heard good from people who have got to see it. I've heard good things, which we all know that doesn't necessarily mean anything because the first people that see it usually are always going to promote it through the roof to try to get everyone excited about it. But I've heard good things to start, and that comes out next week.
It's a couple weeks away. I want to say it's like the 18th or 25th or something like that.
Yeah, so I'm super excited for that movie. That's one of my most anticipated films of the year as well. Because I the only thing that holds me back on it is Tiffany Haddish, because you and I are not fans of Tiffany Haddish. But I'm excited to see his film in this. And like I said, lately, Pig came out last year. That was another one of those movies where I had to kind of go to Brian, like, Brian, check out Pig. Pig's great. Because everyone everyone went in there going, oh, this is John Wick. This is Nick Cage, John Wick going after a pig. And it was 100% nowhere close to John Wick.
Yeah, it was kind of straight to video. You got a limited theatrical release, but it was kind of one of his straight to video ones, so people just kind of ignored it because it wasn't a big release. And then number two, the trailers did kind of make it look like it was going to be a John Wick with a pig. And yeah, you told me that's not it at all. So I watched it, and I didn't love the movie as much as you did, but I loved Nicolas Cage in it.
Exactly, Nick Cage is fantastic in it. And then he had his comic book moments with Kick-Ass and of course the Ghost Riders. And like I said, Ghost Riders were not good. It wasn't Nick Cage's fault. Nick Cage embraced the Ghost Rider-ness of it all. But the other thing too is his animated films. I actually really enjoyed The Croods. I think he's hilarious in The Croods. But let's not forget Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Him as Neo was a noir Spider-Man. Who thought that was going to work? When you heard Nick Cage's noir Spider-Man, everyone was like, okay. And your wife was like, I want a noir Spider-Man movie or a short or something. I want more of him as this.
And he finally got to play Superman in Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
He did, because that was always one of the things that he was supposed to be a Spider-Man. He was supposed to be
Superman that never got made. Yeah,
and you see those pictures with him with the long hair. It looks bad.
It was going to be awful. Really, it's one of the smartest canceled movies ever made.
Yes, that would have I think that would have killed his career. I really do. I don't think he would have been able to come back from that. I mean, look at Brandon Routh. We love Brandon Routh. He still really hasn't recovered from Spider-Man.
No, he shows up in supporting roles that I really enjoy him in, but he's never been able to make it as a star now.
Yeah, he's great. We love him in Scott Pilgrim, and he's fantastic in Legends of Tomorrow on Zach Miri, but he just.
And I will defend Dylan Dog Dead of Night. Everyone says a horrible movie, and it clearly has its problems, but he is very charismatic. He's a great lead in that movie.
Yeah, and I feel like if Nick Cage actually would have made that Superman movie, we wouldn't be talking about Nick Cage anymore, or we wouldn't be talking about Nick Cage the way we talk about him now. Did you ever check? Did he win the Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas?
I did fact check. He did win the Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas, and Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent comes out on the 22nd of April.
Okay, so it's the end of the month. Yeah. So for you, I said I kind of gave away mine. I'm not necessarily picking three for this.
You have to pick three. Pick three.
It's the four cage. It's the four cages.
Nope, you got to pick three. Which one gets kicked off? A couple of them are kind of similar though. It shouldn't be too hard.
I mean, I would kick off Face Off. I would kick off Face Off. I would go Rock, Con Air. What's that?
I'd kick that off any list, any chance I get.
No, I love Face Off. If I had to pick the three, I'd pick The Rock, Con Air, and Gone in 60 Seconds. But that's the thing. There's at least 8 other movies Nick Cage has. Where it's oh, that could go there, that could go there, that could go there. But for me, I'm going to go with my favorites. I love Gone in 60 Seconds. I think it's a fun movie. Every time it's on TV, I stop and I watch it. Same thing with Con Air and The Rock. Face Off, not so much, but I do love Face Off. But yeah, definitely Rock, Con Air, Gone in 60 Seconds. That's definitely my three. I'm more intrigued about what your three
are. My three, I think I only have. Actually, I don't know if I even picked my third one on that. All right, so 2 for sure I'm going to pick. You hate this movie. Raising Arizona was one of his earliest lead roles.
I don't blame him.
But he is, even if that's not your style thing, he is so great in that he gets to play so just over the top comedic, whereas before they've been playing just a lot of his straight, kind of roles or comedies, but not this one. He gets to go to be zany and over the top, and it kind of was one of the first movies to kind of show what he's capable of when he really is just able to let go. And it's just, he's a ton of fun in that movie. Also, I think he and Holly Hunter are great together in that. The second one I will pick is another one he was Oscar nominated for, is Adaptation, where he played 2 roles as twin brothers. And I thought this was a movie where not only did he do a great job of playing, 2 very distinct characters, but just the way they interacted, the way he created 2 like I said, two very distinct people. It's like they're brothers, but like even just like when he was standing there, you could tell which one he was playing just from posture and look. And he just did a great job of those. And so I thought he did a great job, deserved the Oscar nomination for adaptation. My third one, I'm actually going to go with National Treasure.
Really?
National Treasure, because that one a little bit later in his career, I think it kind of was one of his many resurgences that he's had. But it also kind of he got to get back to the action movies at the same time as he got to kind of, like you said, get introduced in kind of the family realm, which led to not only the National Treasure sequel but Sorcerer's Apprentice. Probably eventually led to him voicing Croods, things like that. And it just because it was the whole other side of Nick Cage that maybe introduced him to a whole other audience who wasn't watching Face Off and Con Air kind of things,
You know what? The one thing that I love National Treasure, mainly the first one. One thing that always sticks out to me is, and it's the last scene of the movie. He cannot run well. He's a bad runner. There's like one where like she's like the maps to the bedroom and he chases after her, and like his run's like, he is not an athletic guy. That dude is not a good runner. Like he cannot run well.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was. There was another actor. I was watching something recently. I'm like, oh, whenever he runs, it's just sad.
Yeah, and I kept thinking, I was like, have I seen him running anything else? I'm like, yeah. I was like, he ran like I think like Next and other movies. I was like, they always shoot him up because like if you watch it, his legs are just, he doesn't have the formation down. That's the only thing. That's the first thing that always stands out to me in National Treasure is when he tries to run. I was like, dude, that looks wrong. Like it doesn't look right. Like are your legs okay? But you guys are gonna watch it. I was like, hey, it's fine. But no, it always sticks out to me as like his running in that movie. So yeah, like I said, his movie comes out, you said, at the end of the month. I'm excited to see what he does with that. I hope it's as good as people are making it out to be. But yeah, that's our show. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, like I said, we should have the review for Ambulance out as well. We also have reviews for Morbius and The Bubble that came out last week. Next week, we have the Movie Crusaders Chat About, where we will be talking about reboots, remakes, and original films. Brian and I are just going to talk about what we want to talk about when it comes to those kinds of films. And then the following week, we're going to do another Movie Crusaders Chat About, where we're going to talk about cult films. What makes cult movies? What are our favorite cult films? What movies that aren't considered cult films yet do we think are going to become cult films? All that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the month, we are going to be doing our summer movie preview. We're going to be going over all the movies at least we know about that are coming out during the summer, what ones we're excited about, what ones we're not excited about, what ones we think are going to be box office successes, box office flops. We're going to go over all that kind of stuff. Our first episode in May, though, we are super, super excited about. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it right now. Not that it's a big spoiler, but Doctor Strange comes out May 6th. Our first episode for our May is Brian and I are going to recast the X-Men and the Fantastic Four for the MCU. We're going to make our picks, figure out who we're going to cast as Wolverine, Cyclops, all of them. We love doing recast shows. If you guys remember checking out the Batman recasting that we shot last month, we have a lot of fun.
Which, after seeing the movie, most of my picks don't work, honestly. But
yeah, and of course, obviously, we were both wrong on Joker, which I think you and I would both argue that our picks are still way fucking better.
I think of 100 picks that would have been better.
That Joker scene that they showed was not good. And I love the Batman. He didn't. And even I'm going, that Joker scene was not good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they left that out of the movie. And when they go, Matthew's like, yeah, we're probably not going to have the Joker in our films. Good.
Thank you.
Don't do that. Because the Joker you showed me is not a Joker I want to see. But yeah, we're excited to do that episode. I still don't. I've already told people about this, and they go, "So who are you picking?" I go, I haven't even thought about it yet. I got a month to think about this. I don't got anything yet. I think only two characters I have immediately in my head, and it's the same two that everyone has already casted in their brains. So I'm gonna kind of go with the popular vote for those two characters. But yeah, that's it. That's an episode that we were definitely excited about. And then we'll probably also have the spoiler review for Doctor Strange, where we'll definitely have Brian on for that, because I have a feeling that we'll both want to talk about that movie. But we got plenty of stuff coming. So feel free to keep checking us out, as well as all the other movie reviews that are coming out throughout the month of April. Next week, or this week also, Sonic 2 came out this week. So we'll have a review for Sonic 2. There's some good movies coming out this week. We're gonna start getting to the summer season, so we're gonna get more movies coming on this way. And of course, next month we'll have another episode. We still don't know who we're gonna talk about yet. I think Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise we're definitely talking about next month because of Top Gun Maverick. But the director and actress will figure it out along the way.
We'll figure it out.
We'll be here. Feel free to check out us later. And until next time, I'm Sean Waskroop. That is Brian Michaels. We are the Movie Crusaders. And in case we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.